Hey guys, today all the way from Tampa, Florida, I'm talking to the one and only Dacian Miron. I know it's late over there in the US, Dacian, so thank you so much for being here. How's it going?
It's awesome. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. And it's actually not that late. I still see a little sunshine, just a little bit.
Yeah, because it's summer over there, so hopefully I won't take up too much of your time.
All
Um,
good.
Prior to your solo career, you were previously in alt rock band The August Moon before taking a 5-year hiatus from the music scene. Firstly, what initially brought about that decision to take a step back from the music career and obviously part ways with the band?
It's funny because I kind of lost myself throughout the whole genre of music. I started in like the whole like hardcore field, the whole post-hardcore rock and roll, and I loved it. It was great at first, and it's challenging being a band dealing with five other people because it's so hard to just come together as a group and just collaborate. And nobody's like 100% perfect, and nobody's happy with everything fully. So we just got to try to match together and do the best we can. But after a while, after being on the road for so long, it takes a toll on you.
Mm-hmm.
And just being, I mean, they're family for a while, but you just kind of like get sick of them after a while. All with all due respect, I just kind of lost myself throughout that portion of my life, and I realized after a while that being on stage, playing that kind of genre of music wasn't as fun as I originally thought it was. So I wanted to kind of take a step back and just kind of find myself again, and figure out, what the next step was for me. So here I am.
Yeah, and in that time, what was it that then inspired you to return to the music industry, rebranding yourself as a solo artist?
Honestly, I've always been a huge, just like an '80s kid. Always like I love pop music, I love rock music, but I love everything from Frank Sinatra, Johnny Cash, Motley Crue, Michael Jackson, huge inspirations. Panic at Disco, The Killers, clearly, a lot of those. But I also like punk, but I never got to play that kind of genre of music. And I figured I was like, well, since I'm going solo, I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna fight with anybody. It's just me. So now I'm gonna finally do something that I really like. So this is a good chance for me to showcase. I feel like all the influences that have accumulated throughout the years from all those artists. So I'm pretty excited for that.
Yeah, definitely. Throughout the past year, you've released two singles, Feeling Dangerous and Young Punk Mr. Rock and Roll. So I definitely, like you said, get very strong Panic at the Disco vibes. But which artists would you credit for inspiring your current sound?
Um, can you repeat that question one more time because it cut off for a second? And I'm a little deaf in this year because I do a lot of stupid shit in my life. Sorry, I shouldn't say that.
No, that's
Stupid. Can bleep that one out.
So I definitely get a very strong Panic at the Disco vibes, like you were saying. But which artists would you credit for inspiring your current sound?
Oh man, I mean, it's so hard because I'm trying to create a new genre of like an '80s rock and roll with like punk infused into it. So I would say, I don't know if you know who New Order is, but they're one of my favorite '80s bands, and mixing that with, of course, Panic and a little bit of All Time Low in there, and a little bit of modern day stuff like, I'd say, Neck Deep and Grayscale, and a lot of those bands are kind of cool. So I'm trying to like keep it modern, but at the same time just bring the vintage, like, Pierce the Veil, and maybe add a little elements from the emo background. So all those artists really are who I am. I'm just an emo kid at heart. So.
Fair enough. But yeah, I have definitely noticed that with a lot of artists I've been like talking to and interacting with, that people are tending to shy away from defining themselves by one genre. Everyone's becoming a lot more experimental and less defined, and that's really great to hear. It's making whatever just feels
Absolutely.
So you also recently shared a tweet saying your upcoming debut album, Slightly Mysterious, Somewhat Delirious, is going to blow our minds. What can we expect from this album, and what was the idea behind the concept and title?
Oh, I'm glad you asked that question. And just for the record, that was a joke. I don't expect this album to blow anybody's mind. I do it just for fun. This is just an art for me that I really enjoy. So I don't do it for the money.
Mm.
Heavens no, I get no freaking money from this anyway, so don't matter. This whole concept album that I'm really planning is I'm a I'm a sucker for like the 1920s, 30s, and 40s era. So I draw inspiration for all my songs. I don't know if you know, there's a certain theme for everything that leads up into something else.
Mm.
From novels, anything from The Great Gatsby. F. Scott Fitzgerald is one of my favorite authors of all time. Actually, a lot of his quotes I um, reuse in some of my songs, and I remake them, turning them into a storyline. So one of these songs, actually the first song on the album, called "The Cure for Sobriety," is a bottle of Jack, will literally have a music video based off The Great Gatsby.
Mm. I can't wait to see that.
Well,
As
that's gonna be pretty exciting for me too. I'm pretty excited for that.
Mhm. As for the title, whereabouts did that come from? So slightly mysterious, somewhat delirious.
It's basically, this album is um, it's a character inner characteristic of me. I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do in life,
Mhm.
and I've made a lot of stupid decisions in my life, and I still do, but that's part of living. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
um, part of me is I'm just a very interesting character until you get to know me. Even then, I'm still kind of mysterious. So I'm kind of crazy, but in a good way, chaotic. So I kind of meshed a couple things together, and it's like, what do I think people are gonna think about me? So I love rhyming. That's my thing. That's always been my thing. So I write songs based off that. So I
Mm.
figured, like, let's make a cool, really cool sounding album name. Just something weird.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, definitely sounds interesting. As for the process of actually writing each of your songs and creating the album, what was that process like, and what's your creative process?
So I know it's different from everybody, but I usually start off writing. I start off with my chord structure. So I create something that if I like a chord structure, I start on that, and I play the metronome of the tempo of what I think is right in the background. For instance, like, I have to get a feel for the song, and then a melody comes to my head. After the melody comes to my head, I write certain lyrics in my head based off that, and I take that idea, I plug myself into my laptop, and I start writing. That's when the actual storyline comes on to that melody line. So it's a whole process. But I start with basically like the whole chord structure of what I want to do, and
Mhm.
then I find out the tempo for it. That's basically been what I've been successful so far. I mean, throughout all my songs.
Mhm. Yeah, okay. So obviously we haven't seen the track list yet, and obviously it's still a work in progress as well. But do you have a favorite song on the album so far that you're most excited for fans to hear?
I actually kind of I'm excited for all of them, because um, a lot of them are just different in their own way. But there's one in particular I really really like, and I don't know if I should spoil it. Screw it, I'll tell you anyway. Kellin Quinn is going to be featured for guest vocals on one of my tracks.
Mhm.
So that's called "Call It a Hustle, Sweetheart,"
Mhm.
and it's very theatrical, and I'm very excited for that one.
Yeah.
But I would say that that's probably the one I'm really stoked for. Also, there's another one called "I Don't Think Charlie Parker Would Be Caught Voting Ghost,"
Mhm.
which is very cool because I'm experimenting with EDM in that one, so it should be very interesting.
Okay. Can we expect a music video from either of them as well?
Kellen's gonna be featured in the music video. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, sounds good. I can't wait to see it.
I
Um,
can't either.
so, following the release of Slightly Mysterious, Somewhat Delirious, what else can we expect from you over the coming year then? Potentially a tour or some other project you're working on, maybe? COVID pending, of course.
Of course, given the state of the world now and in the chaos, I would love to say I could go on tour after the whole album releases, but who knows? I mean, let's pretend this didn't happen. I would love to say yes. You know what I mean? Yeah, that would be the case. But, you know, the state of the industry now is just in turmoil, and given by some reps in the music industry, they're not even expecting live shows to come back till 2022. I don't know how accurate that is, but if that's the case, then definitely not for another year or two. But let's pretend it blows over eventually, then I would say, yeah, that's a very strong possibility. I'm going to hire a backing band, and I'm going to go on tour.
Yeah, no, but it'd be great to see you live. Like, I'm sure you'd put on a great performance, and just your songs, you can clearly see you're very enthusiastic about it. So, yeah, I'm sure it'd be great.
I try to get down once in a while. Try to have a little.
As for touring, so if you were able to go on tour, do you have any destinations you'd absolutely love to perform at? So different countries or cities?
Well, I'm European, so I would love to do a Europe tour just because that's my hometown. But since I'm in Florida and I belong to the U.S., I would have to start with the U.S. But of course, maybe toss Australia in there. That'd be cool. I've never actually been to Sydney, but I would love to play at the Opera House, which would be like one of the coolest places, right? Um, and honestly, if that's the case, I could probably, I'm sure Stan Atlantic, aren't they from um, Australia?
I think so. Don't quote me on
Yeah,
that.
there's some bands I'd love to go on tour with and see if
Mhm.
I could make that a possibility. But who knows? That's the future. This is now.
Well, hopefully we will see you here sometime soon. I'd definitely love to come along to a show when you do. Um,
Absolutely.
lastly, based on what I've heard from the album so far, I'm really excited to see where this takes you in the long term. But what would be your ultimate career goal? Is there someone you'd love to collaborate with, or an event or venue you'd love to headline? What would be like the absolute ultimate goal?
Well, of course, everybody has their own venues to headline. I mean, I played shows to like 3,000 people in my old band at theaters and stuff. I mean, I was never success. I was never like super successful, clearly, but I had fun. I would love to. I think my one of my dreams is Madison Square Garden.
Hmm.
To pack that out would be something of a legend.
Yeah.
Honestly, I just want to keep creating songs. I don't care how long it takes. Just keep putting out album after album after album, just themes, and just have a good time. And if wherever it takes me, it takes me. But I would, if I could collaborate with Elton John before he dies, or help, if I could get Brandon Urie or Pete Wentz,
Mhm.
I'd die a happy man. I
Yeah,
think that'd be
I'd love
sweet.
to see that. Go get Brendan, contact him, and we'll hit him up.
Just hold on a second. Hold on. Let me just set him up. Oh, Pete Wentz from My Chemical Romance. Just kidding.
That would be great. We'd love to see you tour with some of those bands who are clearly, I guess, inspiring your sound. You can definitely hear elements of theirs coming out of your own music. So yeah, definitely love to see you perform or collaborate with some of those in the future.
Not gonna lie, that would be pretty sweet to see. Yeah.
Hopefully, it's not too far down the track. But anyway, thank you so much for your time, Darcy. It's been great talking to you, and can't wait for the new album.
Well, thank you for having me. I do appreciate your time as well.
No worries. All right, have a good one. Bye.
Bye. I love your accent. That's awesome.